Welcome back to the channel Skytech-Lens. For generations, Chevrolet was more than just a car brand. It was the heartbeat of America, woven into the fabric of daily life. From the post-war boom to the golden age of the American highway, Chevy cars were everywhere, carrying families to new homes, road trips and dreams. The brand stood for reliability, innovation, and a sense of belonging, becoming a symbol of American progress and optimism. It was a badge of affordable mobility and working-class pride, a car that felt within reach for millions of Americans. Chevrolet's story was one of accessibility, a brand that promised not just transportation but opportunity. But in recent years, sweeping U.S. trade policies, especially the imposition of tariffs, have shaken General Motors, Chevrolet's parent company, to its very core. These policies, intended to protect American manufacturing, have instead created new challenges for the auto giant. What was meant to shield American industry from foreign competition has, ironically, driven up costs for GM and its workers. The price of raw materials and imported parts soared, putting immense pressure on the company's operations. Tariffs on imported components hammered the company's bottom line, disrupting supply chains that had taken decades to build. Suddenly, the cost of making a Chevrolet was higher than ever before. In just one quarter of 2025, GM's net income dropped by over a third, a billion-dollar loss directly tied to these tariffs. The financial shock rippled through every level of the company, from the boardroom to the factory floor. Facing such uncertainty, the company abandoned its financial forecasts, unable to predict the chaos that lay ahead. The future, once bright, now seemed clouded by doubt and instability. Under mounting pressure, GM made the difficult decision to shift away from building affordable sedans like the Cruze and Impala, cars that had defined Chevrolet for decades. Instead, the company pivoted to focus on high-margin trucks and SUVs, hoping these larger vehicles would help it weather the storm and keep the brand alive. This dramatic shift has fundamentally changed what Chevrolet offers to American drivers, transforming its identity almost overnight. The brand that once stood for every American, young families, first-time buyers, and small-town dreamers, now feels distant from its roots, leaving many longtime fans nostalgic for what once was. The heartbeat of America now beats to a different rhythm, one shaped by economic survival, not tradition. The story of Chevrolet is no longer just about cars, but about the changing face of America itself. The impact of these trade policies goes far beyond GM's balance sheet. It's devastated communities built around auto manufacturing. Iconic plants in Lordstown, Detroit Hamtramck, and Warren have closed, erasing thousands of stable, middle-class jobs. Local economies have crumbled, with businesses shuttering and families facing financial ruin. Even in plants that remain open, like Silao in Mexico, GM has used tariff pressures to resist wage increases, pitting workers against each other across borders. The promise of bringing jobs back has, for many, meant only hardship and broken trust. The American dream, once fueled by steady auto jobs, now feels out of reach for entire towns. Modern car manufacturing relies on a global web of suppliers, each one playing a critical role in keeping the assembly lines moving smoothly. This intricate network stretches across continents, with parts and materials constantly in motion, crossing borders and oceans to arrive just in time for production. Chevrolet vehicles, for instance, are assembled from thousands of individual components, each sourced from specialized manufacturers around the world. From precision electronics in Asia to steel frames from North America and textiles from Europe, every piece is essential to the final product. But recently, tariffs have turned this once efficient system into a costly liability, adding unexpected expenses and frustrating delays at every border crossing. What was once a seamless flow of goods is now a maze of paperwork, inspections, and mounting fees. Even American-made trucks like the Silverado are not immune. These vehicles depend heavily on foreign components, making them especially vulnerable to rising costs and unpredictable supply interruptions. The Chevrolet Trailblazer, for example, saw nearly $6,000 in extra cost per vehicle due to tariffs, forcing GM to make tough choices: either absorb the loss, cut corners, or pass the burden onto buyers who are already feeling squeezed. Smaller suppliers, unable to absorb these new costs, have been forced to shut down, leading to critical shortages and leaving assembly lines idle. The ripple effects are felt throughout the industry, from factory workers to dealerships. The result? Higher prices for consumers, fewer affordable options on the lot, and a supply chain that's stretched to its breaking point. Families searching for a new car now face sticker shock and limited choices. The dream of a purely made-in-USA car is now a myth, as even the most iconic American vehicles rely on a patchwork of global parts and labor. Tariffs have exposed just how interconnected and fragile the industry truly is, revealing that a disruption in one corner of the world can bring the entire system grinding to a halt. Under CEO Mary Barra, GM made a hard pivot profit over volume. Beloved sedans like the Cruze, Sonic, and Impala were axed, casualties of a tariff-driven market. GM doubled down on full-size trucks and SUVs, Silverado, Tahoe, Suburban, where higher prices could absorb new costs. This shift has redefined Chevrolet, moving it away from affordable cars for the masses to larger, pricier vehicles. The strategy has kept GM afloat, but at a cost fewer choices for buyers and a brand identity in flux. Competitors like Hyundai and Kia have seized the small car market GM left behind. The focus on trucks and SUVs may be profitable now, but it leaves GM exposed to changing tastes and fuel prices. Chevrolet's future is now tied to a narrower, riskier path. The escalating tariff war forced GM to fundamentally rethink its global strategy, pushing the company to adopt a local-for-local production model, an approach that means building vehicles in the same region where they'll be sold. This shift is a dramatic departure from the decades-long pursuit of a seamless global supply chain. Now, GM is doubling down on building in America for Americans, focusing on domestic manufacturing to reduce exposure to international trade disputes and tariffs. Meanwhile, in China, GM is producing vehicles specifically for Chinese buyers, tailoring its offerings to local tastes and regulations. This regional approach is designed to shield GM from the volatility of global trade, but it also marks a significant retreat from the company's once ambitious globalization efforts. To support this new strategy, GM is investing billions of dollars to bring models like the Blazer and Equinox back to U.S. assembly lines by 2027, aiming to secure American jobs and strengthen its domestic presence. Yet, while GM faces tough competition and shifting consumer preferences at home, it's finding remarkable success in China, especially in the fast-growing electric vehicle market, where half its Chinese sales are now electric vehicles. The old idea of a single world car that could be sold everywhere is gone. Chevrolet's identity now shifts dramatically by region. In America, the brand is defined by its trucks and a slow, cautious rollout of electric vehicles. In China, it's all about affordable electrics and rapid innovation. This growing fragmentation challenges GM's global brand identity and complicates its long-term priorities. The company's future is more divided and more uncertain than ever before, as it navigates a world where regional realities now shape every decision. GM's struggles reveal the unintended consequences of protectionist trade policies in a global economy. Tariffs meant to protect jobs have instead closed factories, cut affordable cars, and forced a risky focus on high-priced trucks. Meanwhile, competitors are innovating. Ford dominates trucks, Hyundai invests in US EVs, and Chinese automakers flood markets with cheap electrics. The stakes are high, fewer choices for consumers, instability for workers, and a risk of falling behind in the EV race. Chevrolet's delays in electric models are a direct result of trade-driven chaos. America's auto future depends on balancing domestic interests with global realities. Innovation, not isolation, is the way forward. The heartbeat of America can only endure if it adapts, invests, and competes on a global stage. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more updates.